Well, hey guys, if you're watching this, we've got ourselves an asynchronous snow day here on Tuesday, February 2nd, 2020. It's likely snowy outside, looking out your window, and we're dreaming of warmer days like the one pictured here in my background along Johnson Brook in the Allagash region of northern Maine. This picture would come from late May when these speckled alder leaves are just popping out. Look at the ferns and grasses just sprouting. It's warm. There's bugs. The birds are singing. There's warmer days ahead, people, okay? We'll get there, I promise. What I want you guys to do today for me is a brief assignment on tree structure, and that's posted in Google Classroom for you. I have it here, our tree structure identification. Take a look out your window today and take a photograph of a tree out in your yard. Don't tell me there's no trees within sight of your house. We live in the most heavily forested state in the lower 48. Everywhere you look, there's trees. Look out a window, take a picture of a tree, and then simply label the crown, the trunk, aka bole, and where the roots would be. And then take a look at my photograph here, Super HD, of one of my favorite oak trees of all time. We've talked about it in class here, and you're going to label the internal anatomy here of this tree. It's all stuff we've been over at this point. I did want to take the opportunity to finish up our notes as well, though. We've been working on. We left off a little while ago there on our last gold day. So let's get those notes done. You can use those notes to help you in the assignment today. I've posted this PDF file to our Google Classroom learning materials for the day, and you've also got plenty of materials to use there in your Forest Trees of Maine book. There's a great page on tree structure as well to help you with the assignment if you need it. So let's get these notes done. Let's think about the crown of our tree. We know that the crown, if your average cartoon drawing of a tree, we look at our crown. It's this big puffy guy here, right? There's your crown of the tree. The crown is composed of branches and leaves, along with flowers and fruit, right? And our leaves are really like the powerhouses of our tree, right? The leaves conduct photosynthesis. Jeez, photosynthesis. That's what they do, right? And photosynthesis, we learned about in class, is all about making sugar. They make sugar. They absorb sunlight and produce sugar. In photosynthesis, we're going to take sunlight and carbon dioxide and water, and we're going to yield sugar. We're making glucose, C6H12O6, along with some excess oxygen, right? There's photosynthesis, and leaves are in charge of that. Now, up there in the crown also, we're going to find flowers and fruit, right? These are reproductive structures. Trees reproduce sexually, in a very similar way that animals do, right? Sperm and eggs, and we use, sexual reproduction in plants. Pollen is essentially the male gamete of the tree, and then we move pollen around using wind and insects and all kinds of different evolutionary adaptations. But the crown is where we're going to find those flowers and fruit generally. Speaking of flowers and fruit, our state flower. Many people don't realize this. The state flower is the white pine cone and tassel, right? So that white pine cone is actually a female flower. Pine trees have male flowers. There's your male flowers, the male cones, tiny little male cones on a pine tree that release pollen. And then the female cones, these guys would contain eggs that eventually develop into pine seeds that fall out of those trees later on in the year. They have a little wing on them that helps them get transported further away from the tree and spread out. So there's your female flower, the female cone on an eastern white pine tree, which is our state flower. So there you have it. Kind of a fun fact of the day. Our state flower is a pine cone. Crazy, right? Crazy, crazy stuff. So we've got our crown done. And then last but not least, later on this week, we're going to talk a lot about growth rings, these annual rings in trees. And as we look at growth rings in trees here, these annual rings, we know that trees kind of only grow outward instead of upward, right? At the trunk or bole, they're adding wood outward every year, and they end up growing in these kind of fits and spurts. Early in the spring, they grow really rapidly, right when they first wake up. They grow really rapidly. They produce these large cells with thinner walls. It makes kind of a lighter colored wood. And then as the summer rolls on and the growth slows down over the summer, they produce smaller cells with darker, thicker walls, and we call that the late wood or summer wood, okay? And that ends up creating an annual ring. Because the trees grow every year in these fits and spurts, they make a ring every year. And the ring is composed of, two different parts, the lighter spring wood and then that narrow little dark band of late wood. So that annual ring is actually composed of two parts, the spring wood and summer wood. And remember, in the fall and in the winter, our trees aren't growing at all. There's no growth. So there's rapid growth in the spring, slower growth in the summer, and that makes an annual ring. So let's get that down, and then we'll leave it at that for today. Let you get to work on your assignment, and we'll get you guys out of here. Nice snow day. Get outside, help your parents clean up. Good times. So spring wood, we're going to say, has larger cells with thinner walls, and it's got lighter color to it, generally. Where our summer wood has smaller cells, the growth rate has slowed down with thick walls, and it is darker in color. And an annual ring is the combination of spring and summer wood created each year. And we'll talk a lot more about annual rings later on this week when we start our tree growth analysis lab. So I just wanted to get those notes done today. Really quick and easy way to follow along. Finish up these introductory notes for trees in the Maine forest. And then don't forget to head on over to Google Classroom and get that tree structure identification assignment done for today. This should all not take you super long. Get that turned in and get your full credit on your asynchronous snow day. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you Friday.